Hello everyone and welcome to another News Coolum video and another plug side chat. Today I wanted to talk about some upcoming legislation that we have in California. So this is sort of California specific and it might not affect EV owners in other states. However, one thing about laws and regulations are they tend to cascade down from one state to the next. So this is maybe something to be aware of. And of course, just in terms of if you ever visit California, you might experience this as well. But the Air Resource Board is proposing a change to Title 13. It's going to be under sections 2360 through 2360.2. And essentially, what it's doing is it's setting standards for payments on public charging systems. And this is going to be for level 2 and DC fast charging as well. The most basic aspect of this is that every public charging station that requires a payment to use are now going to be required to have credit card readers either on the charger or as part of a kiosk. Also, in addition to the credit card readers, these charging providers are also going to be required to maintain a toll-free number that's available 24 hours a day where a customer can call in and activate the charger. And they're going to be required to disclose all of the fees and all of the potential fees. So if it charges by the kilowatt hour, then those fees need to be stated up front. And this is one of the more worrisome ways about which it's worded. If you do charge by time, you have to somehow display what all of the potential costs are per kilowatt hour. So that's going to make it really difficult for some of these companies who have time-based fee structures to actually state upfront exactly what it is they're charging per kilowatt hour when it's not necessarily broken down that way natively by their fee structure. It also begs the question for me about the areas where only public utilities are allowed to sell power or dispense power by the kilowatt hour. So we'll have to see sort of how that works out. This is still something that's open for comment, for public comment for some time. So I'm going to post up a link and you can go ahead and let them know what you think about this. I kind of get it, right? I understand they're what they're trying to do is they're trying to avoid this requirement to be affiliated with the charging provider or the network and allow people to pay freely using a credit card at the point of sale. However, dictating how you charge or how you pay, that is a little bit of a concern. As far as I know, those same regulations aren't required at gas stations. So this is an additional sort of regulatory hurdle that's now being applied to public charging providers. And on top of it, it's almost forcing their hand and forcing them to have to charge uh, by kilowatt hour as opposed to a time-based fee, which means that they're now going to have to probably change up their payment structure for something like a DC fast charging unit, where instead of charging by time, now if they charge, a set amount per kilowatt hour, they might have to have a graduated scale essentially where I would recommend something like Electrify America on their 350 kilowatt chargers. Maybe they charge 20 cents per kilowatt hour for the first 15 minutes. After that, it jumps to 40 or 50 cents per kilowatt hour for the next 15 minutes. And then after that, it's up to another, 75 cents or $1 per kilowatt hour. Now, as long as they disclose those fees up front, that's fine. But that might be the only way at that point you can effectively prevent DC fast chargers from essentially having people squat at them for prolonged periods of time because they have no incentive to move their vehicle. And then, of course, you can still charge idle fees. So I wanted to go over quickly just in terms of charging providers, who wins and who loses in this. And the big winner, of course, is Tesla. And the primary reason Tesla's a winner in this is that these rules don't apply to them. They made a very strict exclusion clause that seems like it's targeted specifically at Tesla. Essentially, any electric vehicle manufacturer who's providing charging services exclusively to their customers is 100% exempt from these rules and regulations. So they're the big winners in this. And then the secondary reason for that is that this adds an additional regulatory hurdle for all of the public charging providers, which makes it more difficult for a public charging entity to sort of compete with Tesla because the costs are now higher to install public charging, and it's more rigorous regulations that they have to adhere to. Electrify America has already been very clear about this. The regulations and requirements in California and the additional costs has reduced the overall number of chargers they've been able to install for a given price. So essentially, California's regulations have ultimately hurt the customers, and any additional regulations that they do are probably going to hurt them even more. Now we get into the actual public charging providers and why I think this regulation is maybe largely unneeded, right? They're talking about requiring now those credit card readers. Well, EVgo has already been doing this. Electrify America has already been doing this. Recargo has already been doing this. Almost all of their chargers now already have credit card readers either on the charger or at a nearby kiosk. So this is almost like a regulation that's not really serving any purpose, except for the really big loser in all of this is ChargePoint. I've never seen a credit card reader installed on a ChargePoint charger. I haven't seen a kiosk with a credit card reader. And so now ChargePoint is going to end up having to retroactively fit all of their chargers with these credit card readers or kiosks. And this is really burdensome for ChargePoint because right now they're one of our primary level 2 providers. And so now they're going to have to go through a much more expensive process in order to accept credit card payments at their public level 2 charging locations, which, up to this point, it doesn't seem like it's really been that much of an issue. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you think. Do you think that these charging providers should be forced to have to put credit card readers on their chargers or at their charger locations? Do you think it's a benefit that really is worth having this sort of regulation? If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel, and thank you for watching.